My dear brothers and sisters in Jesus Christ, today we have entered the fifth week of Lent. For today's reflection, we have the Gospel of St. John, chapter 11, verses 1 to 45. In this incident, Jesus is trying to uh, deepen our faith. According to John, or according to the Gospel of John, a sign is a public supernatural act done by Jesus in order to demonstrate his divine identity and awaken faith. And that is what we are going to see in this incident of raising Lazarus from death. And here we have in chapter 11, verse 5, it is said, Jesus loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus. And here we can see Jesus is loving a whole family. But when the message reaches Jesus, according to chapter 11, 3, uh, Master, the son you love is ill. Jesus delays in going to see him when he was sick. The same like when in the last week's gospel, we saw that when the disciple raised the question, why the blind man is blind, Jesus answered them by telling them that neither he nor his parents made neither his parents neither he nor his parents sinned. It is so that the works of God might be made visible through him. The same way, Jesus here replies in 11:4 that this illness is not to end in death, but is for the glory of God, that the Son of God may be glorified through it. And that is the reason Jesus delights in going to the place immediately on the spot. Now, when we come to verse 15 of this chapter, we hear Jesus telling, I am glad for you that I was not there, that you may believe, and let us go to him. So it is quite surprising. How can Jesus tell that I am glad in the death of somebody? That means there is some valid reason for Jesus to become glad, because Jesus is going to reveal his greatest glory, greatest strength. And when we come to verse 21 and 22, we can see through Martha, who expresses her reluctant hope. She is telling to Jesus, um, Lord, if you had been here, my brother would have not died. But even now, I know that whatever you ask of God, God will give you. And here we can see the reluctant hope of Martha, and the same hope is being expressed by Mary in verse 32. Now, to their reluctant hope, Jesus reveals himself according to verse 25. I am the resurrection and the life. Whoever believes in me, even if he dies, will live. So, one more greatest strength or greatest quality of Jesus being revealed to us, that he is the resurrection. And when we come to 11:35, we can see that Jesus wept, which is the shortest verse in the whole of Bible. And here Jesus is trying to show his real empathy with the people who are suffering. He's putting himself in their place and feels with them. And when we come to verse 11:39, we can see that Martha is placing an obstacle. He has a negative attitude, and he has a worldly way of thinking and reasoning. And therefore, she sees the impossibility there by telling to Jesus that she's telling, Lord, by now there will be a stench. He has been dead for 4 days. She has seen the impossibilities, but Jesus sees the possibility, and he raises him up. And he is telling in 11 41, and he's praying in 11:41. By praying before rising Lazarus, Jesus is revealing to each one of us the importance of prayer. And 11:45, Jesus telling to Lazarus, come out. Now, Jesus is not only telling to Lazarus to come out, he is telling to each one of us, come out of our slumber, come out of our weakness, come out of our shortcomings, come out of our failures. When we come out of our slumber, we get life. When we come out of our weakness, we get strength. When we come out of our shortcomings, we are overpowered. And when we come out of our failure, we get victory. And therefore, Jesus is by this incident of rising Lazarus from death, he is rising us from all sort of our failures and weaknesses. And 11:44, we have Jesus telling to the people standing there, untie him and let him go. And Jesus here unties our sinfulness nature and let us go free in the spiritual realm. And therefore, when we face Jesus, we are untied from many bondages. And now this is the incident placed before us, the rising of Lazarus. Now, what are the lessons this incident is placing before us? I could say that this incident is a story of a love story. It is a totally a love story. How? Now, there are various types of love Jesus expresses through this act. Now, the love of Jesus waits or makes us to await. This I have experienced in my life. My companions were ordained in the year 1995. I had to wait almost 6 years to get ordained. My spiritual director and my vocation promoter, Father Amidraj, said to me, and he wrote to me and said, "Mm, I have not seen a single brother waiting so many years to get ordained. God has rewarded your patience." So, since I waited, I could understand the greatest love of God. And second, the love of Jesus weeps. Jesus weeps with the one who weeps, loves with the one who loves. And therefore, see, Jesus is more empathetic and more sympathetic towards the people who are in a suffering situation. And that's what Jesus did to the family of Martha, Mary, and Lazarus. And third, the love of Jesus raises the dead. Now, not everyone is dead, but there are various deaths in us. We can be dead due to our sinful nature. And therefore, Jesus raises us from our sinful nature and gives us a new life that is called spiritual life. And fourth, the love of Jesus unties our bonded nature. There are various type of bonded nature in us. Many are living in a sinful life. Even among the priests and religious, fathers and sisters, many are led astray. The modernization of the world have bonded them. And Jesus wants us to untie us and give us the freedom. And fifth, the love of Jesus make us to grow deeper in our faith. So we could see in the story, slowly, the faith of Martha and Mary is deepened, and finally it culminates in the rising of their brother Lazarus. And sixth, the love of Jesus, love of Jesus fulfills our expectations and our hope. And we have seen that the hope of Martha is being fulfilled then and there. Immediately, her hope is being fulfilled. She was thinking that it will be fulfilled on the last day and during the judgment day. But Jesus fulfills it immediately. And seventh, the love of Jesus is in abundance to the suffering people. Here we can see the parentless. Here no mention of their parents is mentioned, and therefore his love is abundant for the in abundance to the orphans, to the widows, to the helpless and the lonely. And eighth, the love of Jesus endangers his life and provides life to others. Because after this incident of rising Lazarus from death, we read in chapter 11:53 or even in 45 itself, the Sanhedrin was summoned and they have a council and they decide. And finally, they decide. What do they decide? In verse 53, it is said, from that day on, they plan to kill Jesus. And therefore, Jesus is putting himself in danger and gives life to others. And therefore, my dear brothers and sisters, we can conclude the love of Jesus waits for us. The love of Jesus weeps for us. The love of Jesus raises what is dead in us. The love of Jesus unties our bondages. The love of Jesus makes us to grow deeper in our faith. The love of Jesus fulfills our hope. The love of Jesus is in abundance to those who are in suffering. And the love of Jesus teaches us to endanger our lives to give life to others. And therefore, my dear brothers and sisters, through this love story, let us to learn to love the people around us, especially, particularly the Christian peoples, and in generally the whole humanity, for the sake of Jesus, who loved us to the extent he can love us. Amen.